Hey everybody, what's going on? I thought we would talk a little bit about the update. Now that the update's been settled in for a little bit, we've had some time to really adjust and get used to it. I thought it would be interesting to come in and just talk a little bit about how I feel about it, what I like, what I don't like. And I think overall it's been a great update. I know we had that hiccup at the beginning with the evolution system not really adding up. I watched a video from Jubagel about it, and he believes that Come2Us did that on purpose, right? That they dropped it bad so that they could then come swoop in and fix it like the heroes. And maybe he's right. You know what I mean? I don't think it's beyond these game developers to do stuff like that. I do believe Plarium does that from time to time, and it's very transparent. I think if you're paying any attention at all, it's easy to see when Plarium does it. I think maybe the difference is I don't have the relationship with Come2Us that you know Sean B and Jubagel and some of these other guys have, because they've been around playing the game nonstop. Whereas I've been in Raid. If they came over to Raid, they might feel good about what Plarium's doing in Raid. You know what I mean? They might not view things through the same lens because it's fresher, and they don't have the last 4 years to reference. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. I understand. I just don't have that same feeling about Come2Us because I haven't been here probably. You know, if I'd been watching everything they were doing, I think maybe it would be a little bit different. Also, maybe if I didn't play Raid and some of these other games like I have, I would feel a little bit differently too, because Come2Us has just objectively made a better game than everyone else at this point. There is so much more quality of the game, quality of life. There's so much more balance. There's so much more fun to be had. There's a lot of depth. It's very interesting. Their events are good. They're very generous. And that's not really everything in Raid is a grindy sacrifice. Anything you want to achieve in Raid is going to cost you something greatly. It's always a net negative is how I describe it. Come2Us's events are very net positive. You can very casually play this game. I just got my Transcendent Scroll today, as a matter of fact. You can very casually play this game and finish most of the events that they drop. Nothing is really that hard of a grind, and you never come out with less than you went in with. And in Raid, that is the complete opposite. Every single thing you do will cost you more than you get. It's more about achieving the challenge of whatever it is, I guess. So again, I just feel very differently about Come2Us, so I don't look at everything through as skeptical of a lens as perhaps I should even, you know what I mean? I know that they're a big company. I know that they want to make a lot of money, but I've always felt like Come2Us toes that line fairly well, whereas a company like Plarium does not. And a lot of these other companies do not seem to do it. Granted, Come2Us has been doing it a lot longer, so maybe they've had time to figure it out. You know, the game didn't always feel this generous. I've always loved the game. I've always had fun playing the game, but it definitely hasn't always been as generous as it is now. It hasn't been as easy to progress. It hasn't been as generous. So, again, maybe if I had been here the whole time, I'd feel differently. But overall, back to the update. I think it's all pretty good. I'm really enjoying the new artifact system, not having to level them up, just seeing what they are when you get them is really nice. The instant rune power-ups is fantastic. You know what I mean? It's so nice to not have to spend all that time leveling up runes. That was kind of one of the last things that I was really annoyed with at the game, was that the rune power-up thing hadn't been streamlined at all. They added the system where you could queue them up, but it would still take 10 to 15 minutes sometimes for them to finish trying to level up. You know what I mean? So that's great. They did a lot of good quality of life stuff there. The new dungeons have been fine. Pretty interesting. I think they've adjusted the drop rate. I've done several runs now in Dragon Abyss Hard where all of my runes have been epic or better, which is a rare sight. So that's been pretty nice. I've been playing around with some teams in here and here. Spiritual Realm is fine. You know, it was good fun content. I'm excited to see the next step of the update where we get the new 2As and everything. I think that's going to be fun. I don't have too many big complaints about the update. I do have one, the one that stands out to me, but I feel like is very specific to me and a small handful of other people. They took away a substat from artifacts where when you come back to life, you get extra attack bar, and that really affected my Dark Demon. And again, I know this is not a mass problem. I know that there may be 17 other people that have Dark Demon, but he's a really fun unit. I've really enjoyed using him. He's really strong. I've done some really fun stuff with him, and even without that, he's still usable. But what happens is, with his passive, when he comes back to life with a full turn meter. But if someone else on the enemy team already had a full turn meter, he comes back with full turn meter, then there's a tick, I guess. They tick ahead of him. So they go and they'll just kill him before he even gets his turn. And that if I could give him artifacts that had revive with extra attack bar, then I think that would solve that problem. So I guess until they change this where he comes back to life and gets a turn, instead of coming back to life with 100% attack bar, it really affects the way I can use him. Sometimes it's been the difference in me winning or losing a fight several times. I'm not gonna stop using him because he's a lot of fun, and it's fun to try different comps with him. And again, he's a really cool unit. But that's probably my least favorite part of the update, if I'm gonna be honest with you. It's really a shame to have him do the thing he does, being a light dark net 5. A dark net 5, and just come back to life and then immediately get killed. That's a real bummer. So either change, I guess, bring back more attack bar when revived, or change his passive to get a turn when he comes back to life. I mean, there's a cooldown on it even. You know what I mean? It's not like you can just spam it and it's ridiculous. There's a long cooldown on it. So fix him. You know what I mean? Fix him. Otherwise, I really don't think I have much to complain about with this update. I don't think there is. Let's check the notes real quick. Can we go back down to the notes? Is this it? There was the monster cost, mana stone stuff. Yeah, the power up stuff was nice. I think this is a mixed. The rift dungeons, I think that's a bit of a mixed bag. I think that's a big one I forgot to talk about. Part of me thinks that it's nice to be able to come in and hone in a little bit more specifically on the enchanted gems that you want to try to get. Part of me thinks that that's really nice to be able to do. And another part of me, this was a point Sean B made in a video, another part of me feels like it's now 5 more things to farm. I mean, depending on what you're after, probably only a couple though. But it's extra stuff to farm that cuts into other time farming stuff. So they have already, like, in my opinion, the best multi-battle system I've ever seen in a game, where you can queue up your dungeon. Like right now we're running Hall of Wind, and we can still go do arena and TOA and any PvP stuff. Like we can still play the game and do other stuff while that's going. I think that's fantastic. But I think there's a reasonable point to be made that at this point, there's enough things to do in the game where maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to, I don't know, maybe let us double up on other types of content. Maybe let us run, like, can we even do? Yeah, maybe separate the content a bit more. Maybe put these in the same vein as arena and TOA, so that we can do these while we farm dungeons. And maybe a dimensional hole as well. You know what I mean? Maybe it's time to categorize some of these things a little bit differently, because there is a lot of stuff to do now. There's been a lot of stuff to do in Summoner's War for a long time, but splitting up those rift dungeons in that way, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like they should get added to the category of something else you could do. And I don't know, maybe at some point even add a second window for the multi-battle system so we can do dungeons and rifts at the same time. And then that still leaves us time to do arena and TOA and other PvP stuff. Because, like, I've wanted to get into World Arena this season. I actually specifically intended to get into World Arena this season, and I haven't really had time. Granted, I'm doing other stuff. I'm playing other games, and I've got other channels I'm working on. I've been streaming a lot on Twitch lately, so I don't have as much time to do it. But also, when I do get into the game and spend time in the game, I need to farm, right? I need to be doing my dungeons, and TOA is about to reset, and I need to re-gear, and I don't have a lot of runes still. It's still kind of a new account. You know what I mean? Like if we check my profile, where record 140 days. So it's a pretty young account, right? I don't have a ton of rune depth, and now I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot to do. So maybe at some point moving forward, it would be nice if they would announce a little bit more multitasking, maybe categorizing rifts and dimensional hole into something we can do while other multi-battles run. I don't really know exactly what the solution would be here, but I know that it would be nice to be able to multitask a little bit more. And that feels almost weird to say because I still play Raid, and there is absolutely zero multitasking in Raid. If you are running a dungeon or whatever it is you're doing, that's what you're doing, and that's all that you're doing. You can't do two things at once in Raid, really, unless you look up. If there's a dungeon divers and a champ training, then okay, fine. But as far as actual farming in the game, and it's that way in most games. There's you can do one thing at a time. So it's really nice in Summoner's War to not be limited like that. But again, the game has advanced and developed and expanded so much that I think we might be reaching another point where it would be nice if we could multitask just a little bit more. I think a new level of multitasking would be a nice thing to get announced sometime in the relatively near future. So, yeah, I guess that's really all I think. I guess that's really all my feelings about the update. I don't really have any big problems with it aside from the attack, borrow, and revived substat on artifacts. It really bums me out because my Dark Demon would feel so much more like a Dark Nat 5 if that was the case. If he couldn't just get killed as soon as he revived because of the turn meter thing, he would feel so much more like I think he's supposed to feel. Right now, he just feels like a strong regular Nat 5. You know what I mean? He's got a cool ignore defense mechanic. I've done some fun stuff with him. Like I said, he's still usable, but I just don't feel like he's as strong as a Dark Nat 5 should feel because of that. That seems like a very easy counter, so that I don't really have any control over. Not much I can do about that. That sometimes it's just going to work out that way, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll change it one day, maybe they won't. But that's it. I think that's pretty much all my feelings about the update. I'd be interested to know how you guys are feeling now that we've had some time to kind of absorb it, make the rounds through the game, get used to everything. How are you guys feeling about it? Is there anything you don't like? Is there anything you're particularly fond of? Is there anything you're hoping to see in the future? I'd be interested to have that conversation with you guys. So that's it. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate you guys. Be on the lookout soon. We're going to do a summon video. I think I'm going to wait. We have this Transcendent Scroll. I'm getting close to this Transcendent Scroll, so I might try to hold off. Maybe don't hold me to it. I might try to hold off until we get that one. And maybe we'll do a summon session that has a couple of Transcendent Scrolls. I've also got a Blessing. There should be a pretty decent summon session coming pretty soon, though. So that's it. I'm going to get out of here. Excited to hear what you guys think about everything. And we'll see you later.